Jose. I wish we weren't here today having to make the case for something that has already been made, but I'm thrilled to be joined by a fighter for New Jersey, and particularly on transportation issues. There's no one in the Senate who is a bigger advocate, who knows more about transportation than Frank Lautenberg. So we're thrilled that he is New Jersey's own, and particularly as we make this case to my colleagues in the House, all of which he introduced, to the two chairs of the Transportation Committee in the New Jersey legislature, Senator Sacco and Assemblyman Wisniewski, who are both here, and to our county executive in Hudson and Bergen, who are here as well, all coming together with one voice because we understand how incredibly important this project is. We're here together because we believe that to miss this opportunity to create jobs, to decrease traffic congestion, to upgrade our infrastructure to accommodate future competitiveness for New Jersey would be, in our collective view, a huge mistake. This is an opportunity to invest not only in the transit system of the future, but the economy of the future. It is part and parcel of a smart growth alternative that addresses our energy future as well as our transportation needs, and it's an opportunity we can't afford to squander. We need to find a way to make this work. We need to find a way to make this work. Now, I would hope that all of us can work together to find a solution that fulfills the state's commitment. A commitment that was reaffirmed in the letter by Governor Christie in April of this year, of which I have a copy, that was sent to the Secretary of Transportation of the nation. And in it, he goes through a very elaborate discussion of not only how important this project is, but that in fact the state is committed to it. Now, that was just a few short months ago. That was just a few short months ago. As Senator Lautenberg said, this is the largest federal commitment to a transit project in the nation's history. In the nation's history. And it's here in New Jersey. Now, that commitment didn't come easily. There was an enormous fight in the Congress of the United States with all of the competition from 50 different states who all wanted this type of money. But we succeeded in bringing it to New Jersey. And that was leveraged by another $3 billion from the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. I can assure you that people across the country and on the other side of the river are salivating for this money. They'd like nothing more than that this money goes back into the pot and gets spent elsewhere. And believe me, there isn't another project on the drawing board that this money could be transferred to in New Jersey. So this is going to be lost if we don't fight for it. The opportunity to invest in our infrastructure in a way that's going to prosper New Jersey now and in the future is right here, right now. It's already underway. It's a commitment made by both the federal government and the state. You know, the governor himself again committed to complete the project in a letter to the Secretary of Transportation just a few months ago. A project, by the way, and this is the disappointing part of this, because I saw the governor's comments trying to suggest that John Corzine, you know, is responsible for why he's going to try to back out of the project. It has nothing to do with that. Because his own transportation commissioner was the federal transit administrator, who was the one that we worked with and who said that this was a project of national importance. He is now the governor's transportation commissioner, so they knew all along what was involved in this project, and the figure I saw the governor quote was never reality. All along it's been about a starting point of at least $8.5 billion. That's why the 3.3 and 2.7 billion adds up to that amount. But don't take our word for it. Listen to what Jim Simpson, then the federal transit administrator, now the Commissioner of Transportation in New Jersey, said. He said, quote, "The project is probably the most important public transportation project in the country. The benefits accruing to both New Yorkers and New Jersey are so great that the project has to happen, end quote. That was Jim Simpson, then the Federal Transit Administrator, now the Commissioner of Transportation for New Jersey. We need to make this work. We need to avoid the blame game and the finger pointing that we saw in the Race to the Top application. You know, everybody focused on the points that were lost because of the wrong figures that were given on the budget. We could have overcome that with another provision where we lost a lot of points because educators weren't involved in the application. That would have surpassed that. So we lost $400 million there, and the real losers is not the money, it's the kids. It's the children. Now we're talking about losing 6,000 jobs and 40,000 permanent jobs because I don't know exactly why, but I get there's some ideological sense here that with the Transportation Trust Fund that has to be funded, and I guess that if you back out of this project, you can redirect some of the monies committed to this project to the trust fund. Problem is that's short-sighted in terms of the state's economy as well as our regional economy. We need to bring our best ideas and solutions in a spirit of cooperation and provide the leadership New Jerseyans expect. And that's why we're here. We should not squander an investment we've already made. So far, $600 million has already been spent. Wasting that investment is not in the best interest of taxpayers. The federal government is committed $3 billion and is committed to move forward. The Port Authority is committed $3 billion and it is committed to move forward. The state is committed $2.7 billion but now seems to clearly be wavering. I don't think that it's time to waver. I think it's time to commit to our collective future. It's time to commit to 6,000 jobs. It's time to commit to 40,000 jobs after that. It's time to commit to ensuring that New Jersey doesn't lose billions of dollars that this delegation and my colleague and I in the Senate have worked so hard to commit to New Jersey. You know, if the governor backs out of this, I don't want to hear about New Jersey not getting its fair share of federal dollars. Because when you have the largest transportation project in the history of the country to the tune of $3 billion and you walk away from it, please don't tell us that we're not doing our job for New Jersey. Moving away from this project is not doing your job. Along, as is evidenced by the letters from the governor, as is evidenced by the fact that the Transportation Commissioner was the one who, as the Federal Transit Administrator, created a range. And there was an understanding by the state of New Jersey that it would be responsible for its fair share after $3 billion of federal money, $3 billion from the Port Authority as a regional entity. Now there are many ways to try to meet that challenge. No one has said that the figure is X. As a matter of fact, I met with the federal, I believe Senator Lautenberg did too, the Federal Transit Administrator, and he said they were in the middle of discussions and the state walked away. Now, the reality is that New Jersey Transit has seen, you know, from its original plans, has seen some of its costs rise. I don't know exactly the wherewithal, whether they've acted appropriately, whether they've acted quickly, whether they've acted responsibly, but they've seen land acquisition costs rise at a time in which property values are generally stable or lower. They've seen professional operating costs rise, and so the Federal Transit Administrator said, well, if all of this is rising, don't we need to think about what the price tag is? That's where we're at, but no one has determined that it's price X. And so there is a good faith effort by both the Secretary of Transportation as well as the Federal Transit Administrator to say, let's sit down and figure this out, because they are committed to the project. Now, if you want to walk away and use that as an excuse, even though you knew this all along, and try to take $1.7 billion that you are committed from the trust fund towards this project so that you can then just take other projects, take care of the trust fund and not have to find a source, that's another story. And But that is not about criticizing the past or Governor Corzine or suggesting a figure that was never in play. So, you know, the reason some of us are upset is when we see, you know, unfortunately it seems that the governor's knee-jerk reaction is to blame someone else. He blames the Obama administration and the bureaucrats in Washington for the errors of New Jersey in the race to the top. And when a video was revealed that that was not the truth, I didn't hear any apologies. And now he tried to blame Jon Corzine, you know, in the Federal Transit Administration when his own commissioner was the transit administrator. We knew the range, and in fact we are trying to work to make it happen. So, you know, let's be honest in the process and let's get the job done.